This is Kevin Wayne Johnson, founder and CEO of the Johnson Leadership Group. And if you really want to learn how to level up your life, you should be listening to the Time to Shine Today podcast with my good friend, Scott Ferguson. Let's level up.
Time to Shine Today podcast Varsity Squad. This is Scott Ferguson. We're at episode 386 with my KWJ, my good friend, Kevin Wayne Johnson. There's a lot of people that carry themselves very confident, someone that you just know that has it together, but very few people out there that I've came across really carries themselves that way, yet at the same time is full of empathy, passion for helping you level up. And that's what my good friend Kevin Wayne Johnson does from the Johnson Leadership Group. And we had a super fun 30-minute conversation where I had pages and pages of notes that I picked up to not only help myself, but also pay it forward to help my clients and anybody that I'm mentoring. So if you like the episode, please share it with somebody that you think might need to hear the words that Kevin's bringing to this fantastic interview. If not, just maybe like it. And that'd be great because it really helps my sponsors and affiliates as well. So I would really love you to sit back, relax, break out your notebooks, because here comes a really good friend, leadership coach, author, and speaker, Kevin Wayne Johnson. Let's level up. Time to Shine Today podcast Varsity Squad. This is Scott Ferguson, and I got my road warrior. He's wheels up a ton this week, so we're able to lock him down here for an interview for you guys. My good friend here, Kevin Wayne Johnson, and I are unabashedly Christians, and he has an awesome Instagram, writing for the Lord, which you have to really check out as well. But don't go there yet, because Kevin's going to drop some serious knowledge nuggets on you. And he is the founder and CEO of the Johnson Leadership Group, providing leadership training and executive coaching for aspiring and seasoned leaders. A native of Richmond, Virginia, Kevin is a graduate of VCU School of Business, which is actually a pretty big deal there, squad. So, Kevin, thank you so much for coming on. Please introduce yourself to Time to Shine Today podcast Varsity Squad. But first, what's your favorite color and why?
My favorite color is green.
Green.
And primarily because it's my dad's favorite color. He is a U.S. Marine.
Okay.
And he spent a lot of time in his fatigues.
Yeah,
and the color green is emblematic of what the Marines wear. Not their dress blues, but their uniform.
Those are sharp.
he kind of passed it on down to me, and I've been following that green color as my favorite ever since.
Were you kind of like a Marine brat kind of growing up, like going and traveling a lot, or was he out by the time you were kind of getting older? How'd that work?
Really good question, Scott. I never really considered the sons and daughters of a Marine to be a brat.
You're not going to be a brat. You're going to be a hardcore dude, for sure.
Here you go, because of how they're trained and how they train us. It's all about discipline.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I'm a very, very disciplined person, both as a boy, as a teenager, as an adolescent, and as an adult. That's actually been a very positive attribute, and I got it from Dad, that U.S. Marine pedigree.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing that I did carry from him.
And I love it. And you're always squared away when in like any of your pictures, and even right now, you show up in a suit jacket, and sometimes you have the rocking the bow tie, right? You always have the sexy specs on. I mean, that it's great. You're so well, presented, and that's huge for leadership. So, like, I know that you run a fantastic leadership group. You're leveling up people, by inch by inch, it's a cinch. Like starting smaller and getting to the masses, and really about living intentional with their life. Can I get to the roots of how you got to the point where you're at now?
It's a combination really of two things. Number one, as I mentioned, I grew up under the leadership of a U.S. Marine.
Okay.
Under the leadership of a mom who had the wisdom to share with her son that a 34-year career with the federal government would be a good thing. Now, I did not see that as the desired outcome, but I saw it as an opportunity to be gainfully employed once I graduated from VCU. Because all of my professors told me in the School of Business that, Kevin, once you graduate, it's going to be a piece of cake to find a job. Well, new graduates learn very quickly it's not always that easy. Right. So I spent 34 years with the federal government as a mid-level and a senior level leader. And Scott, I learned a lot through observation and through experience.
Okay.
Now, I carry that forward. I meet this young lady. I fall in love, we get married, and from our union, we have 3 sons, back to back to back. All of my buddies, all of my life called me Fred McMurray, my three sons. They were all back to back to back. And they taught me a lot about leadership in the home, which then transcends into the community, into the workplace, into the church, social and civic organizations, and basically within our entire sphere of influence. So that's my journey. And that's why in this space and this season of life, for me, it's all about pouring into the next generation of leaders, because we believe at the Johnson Leadership Group that good leaders do indeed help to make the world a much better place.
I thank you for saying that, pouring into the future, especially the future leaders, because my pro bono work I do at the Palm Beach County Jail on Sundays, and I help the short timers get their vision set for when they're released. But also, I'm trying to get 10 kids from high school, right? And I'm talking to them and passing on the leadership skills that I'm blessed, those giants that I've been able to stand on the shoulders of. And I just can't wait for that 4, 5, 6, 7 years down the road as they pour back into people. And that's,
there you go.
That's it.
I
love
it's
that.
It's the simple concept. Each one teach one.
Yes.
So we're not here necessarily to try to conquer the world. There's over 8 billion people on the planet.
Yeah.
But there are people within our sphere of influence where we can make a difference. And it starts at home. Three sons, they're now 27, 26, and 25.
Wow.
And I've just told them, Scott, and for your listeners, that it's all about being a great husband and it's all about being a great father. That's
huge.
And then everything else will follow. The doors will open because you're taking care of your responsibility.
It's amazing. And again, I coach, and I've said it before, inch by inch, it's a cinch, right? By the yard, it's hard. And if you're raising children, you already got some of the hardest part out of the way for your own leadership. And I love that. So then, Kevin, what do you feel makes a great coach or a leadership coach what you are? What do you feel makes someone great?
I think it's a combination of two things. So there's an expectation, Scott, that when you and I show up, that there is some intelligence, there's some subject matter expertise, there's some intel because of the nature of who we are and the position that we're in. Oftentimes in the workplace, on the ball field, during the academic debate, at the family reunion, at your social and civic organizations, really wherever you are in the marketplace, when you show up with the title and with the position, there's an expectation that you know your stuff. So that's how you gain credibility. But guess what? Here's what we teach. It doesn't stop there. It only begins there. We now have to take what's in the mind and match it with what's in the heart.
Ooh.
And we have to treat people as if they are people and not just workers. You want people to perform at a high level. You want people to produce at a high level. Demonstrate to them that you give a care that they showed up.
That is beautiful.
And so that comes from the heart. From the heart comes what? Respect, value, care, honor, empathy, compassion. None of that is a representation of weakness.
Right.
It's showing that you're human.
Right.
And that you're genuine and authentic. And when it's all said and done, that's really what people are looking for.
Sure.
They expect us to know our stuff.
Right.
So being smart, being intelligent, having a high degree of acumen, you don't get a lot of credit for that because we expect that.
Right.
But what we do expect from a human perspective, this is part of human behavior, is that you demonstrate to me that you're going to do everything you can to provide resources, tools, training, so that I can be the best that I can be when I get to your level.
So good.
And that's the part that just level up, like what you said, level up.
Yes,
time
sir.
to shine. This is how we shine.
Right.
When we pour into the lives of those that we are entrusted to lead. And I believe that because we spend so much time in this particular subject with these strategies and principles, people walk away wide-eyed. They didn't know what they didn't know.
Right.
And so it's making a difference.
Right. And then getting them to put those reps in, to use a sports analogy, it was well. And the way that like I've had it put on me by my mentors and stuff is I really use Ford, family, occupation, recreation, and dreams with everybody that especially during a coaching discovery, I want to know the Ford on each one of them. And I really encourage leaders to learn the Ford of their subordinates, of their team members, because the more you can know about that, the more you can relate, like you said, empathy and experience and whatnot. So let me ask you something then, Kevin. If you're maybe in a one-on-one with a prospect or a possible client, is there any secret sauce, if you don't mind sharing, that you help them find that initial blind spot?
Yeah. It starts with a good conversation around how are you doing? That's how I always start out, Scott, with leaders, whether it's frontline, mid-level, or senior level, and men and women who actually aspire to be a leader. I start out by asking them that question: how are you doing?
Right.
Because oftentimes people don't take the time to ask.
Right.
And a bunch of us are walking around internalizing how we feel because we don't feel we have anybody that we can talk to. And that's why you see certain behaviors and mannerisms in people. It's not that they're bad people.
Sure.
They just have issues internally that haven't been dealt with. They haven't talked to anybody about it. So any coaching session, any leadership development session, any mentoring session, and as a matter of fact, when I'm standing before an audience and about to give a presentation, whether it's 300 people or 10,000 people, I'll just stop and I'll just ask, how are you doing?
I love that you enunciate that you.
Yeah.
Like you actually put a pause on it because it's really directed at them and it gets those wheels turning. So, Kevin, maybe while you're finding out, how they are doing, is there any, still kind of during the discovery process, is there any good questions that you wish, or a good question that you wish they would ask you but never do?
I would say, Scott, the first thing that comes to mind is, Kevin, can you tell me about your journey?
There you go.
I think that's a good question for us to ask each other, because what does it do, Scott? It kind of helps to now demonstrate that I'm relational and that I would like for you to be relational.
Right.
And now we're having this conversation, which leads to a relationship, which then leads to what? Trust. Right. And now we can build bridges, we can meet on common ground, we can connect because we have developed that rapport. So that's a question that people just don't ask. They probably think it's too personal. But I teach them and I train them. It's okay to ask that question. People will answer it to the extent that they're comfortable.
No, that's I've never heard this. I'm learning. I set out to learn every day, right?
Absolutely.
I just learned that when you ask about their journey, it can really bridge. The bridge was that key word in there.
Yeah,
to bridge the rapport with that. That's just amazing. So, Kevin, may I ask your age? Did you ever say it?
So on Sunday, July the 16th, I'll be 63.
No.
Yes, sir.
Bro.
Yeah, I was born in 1960.
Dude,
life is good, Scott.
Friggin' amazing. My gosh, this is gold, squad. If you're watching on Vimeo or YouTube, you gotta. I'm gonna be picking this guy's brain because I'm 51, and so I like to stay, keep myself, pretty well put together. But man, Kevin, you look fantastic, brother.
Thank you, sir.
Let's go back to the double deuce then. Let's get that DeLorean with Marty McFly, right? Mm-hmm. Let's go back to the double deuce, the 22-year-old Kevin, which I guess would be like 82, 1980. Yeah. It was just crazy. Yep. But is there anything, knowledge nuggets, so you might drop on him? Not to change anything, because 3 kids, beautiful wife, awesome upbringing, what you're doing now, don't change anything. But is there anything you might do to shorten the learning curve or blast through or level up maybe just a little quicker?
That's an interesting question, Scott. I've heard it before. I was who I was, and I knew what I knew. At 22, I was close to graduating from Virginia Commonwealth University. And no, as a matter of fact, I did graduate. I graduated in May of 83, so I hadn't quite turned 23. So I was a graduate.
Yeah, you're 22, yeah.
But again, I was lost because I could not find that gainful employment that I was looking for. I wanted to go into banking. And I remember interviewing for the management training program, and I thought I would be a shoo-in, and I did not get the job. I was kind of devastated.
Right.
And it was a time in my life where I had broken up with my girlfriend. That was kind of lonely as well. And I didn't have money in my pocket. So it was a tough time for me at that time. I guess the best advice that I could give to a 22-year-old Kevin Wayne Johnson is to just hang tough and keep pressing.
Yes.
Right? Be patient, be persistent, don't give up, which I didn't, and I'm glad I didn't. But guess what, Scott? No different than any other 22-year-old. When things aren't going well, it's everybody else's fault, right? Yeah. You're mad at the world. Some was self-inflicted and some was not. But the
Right.
best advice that I would give myself is to keep pressing, be patient, be persistent, and don't give up.
Right, right. And enjoy the journey, man. Like, because the whole thing, especially in 63 years, I'm sure you just have memories that are stacking, that are, especially three boys.
Yes, sir.
Oh, wow. Sorry for your wife, man. Hey, so how do you want your dash remembered then, man? That little line in between your incarnation date and your expiration date, your life date and death date on the tombstone. Hopefully it's when you're about 133, but because you give so much to the world. But how do you want your dash remembered, Kevin?
So here's what undergirds the work that we do at the Johnson Leadership Group. And it's three things, Scott. Number one, I want people to know better. What I mean by that is to be a continual learner. Leaders are learners. It never stops. Things are always evolving and changing. So number one, know better. Number two, do better. Now that you know more than you did previously, I want you to go out and act on it. What's your action plan? What are you going to do about it? So I want you to know better, do better, and as a result, lead better.
Beautiful.
Right? Because leadership is a trusted responsibility. And we cannot break that trust that people put in us to help them to improve, to help them to develop, to get to the next level, provide resources, provide some coaching and mentoring, tools and training to get to where they have to go. And we can't let people down.
You can't let people down. You got to use those big three to be trusted because if you know and you learn, you know, whether you're reading or learning from others, and you're acting on it, so they're going to see that, and then it'll just automatically kind of organically flows into leading better if you do the first two, which builds that trust. That's just awesome. So, Kevin, is there anything that people might misunderstand about you?
Yeah. People do misunderstand confidence with arrogance.
Okay. I get that, brother. I feel you.
Yeah. So when you're confident in who you are and what you do, and you walk upright and your shoulders are out and your head is looking straight ahead and you're smiling and you're just flowing in your gift.
Right.
Some people kind of look at that as like, oh, look at him. Who do he think he is?
Right.
And that's never the case. I'm an introverted guy. I tend to believe that I'm kind-hearted. As a matter of fact, Kevin means kind.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's what it actually means. Every time somebody calls me Kevin, without them even realizing it, they're projecting into the atmosphere kindness, and that's who I am. My boys will say that. They always say that about me. Dad, you're so kind. And so that can easily be misinterpreted, the confidence, as being arrogant. I get that from time.
I get it. I feel you. Yeah, because you're so eager. Sometimes we're so eager to help, and then people will see you because we're short on time a lot. You and I are busy people sometimes, and it can come off, a different way and whatnot. So, Kevin, does anything keep you up at night?
Nah, man. Nope, not at all.
Sleeper?
Nope. Clean conscious. I'm a praying man.
Yeah.
I believe to the best of my ability, treat people the way that I would want to be treated. I mean, we're not perfect. We make mistakes. But no, once the head hits the pillow, that's all she wrote.
That's amazing. That's good for you. I'm getting there, but it's taken a little bit, So absolutely, that's good to hear. So, how about three things that Kevin can't live without?
Oh wow! I can't live without a buffet restaurant.
All right, my man. We gotta hang out.
Fogo de Chao, Golden Corral are at the top of the list.
Okay.
I can't live without character. Character is what is my top core value. So I can't live without that. And I would say that I can't live in chaos. I'm a no drama guy. Right. As a matter of fact, when people ask me the question, Kevin, what would you say are some of your top ways of living your life? And I say I have to stay away from toxic people and toxic organizations.
There you go.
Can't deal with it. It impacts your health in a negative way. And there are ways to maneuver around that. So I can't live in chaos. Even in my home, I told all of my boys from the time that they were ankle high, this will be a peaceful home. We're not going to have a lot of drama.
I love that.
You're not going to be talking back to me. You're not going to be talking back to your mother. That's just the way it is. And guess what? It carried over to who they are as young men now. They are not non-dramatic guys, but it started in the home.
That's awesome, Kevin. You're just an upstanding, beautiful human being, brother. So what is Kevin's definition of a life well lived?
I would say I'm a strong man of faith, right? I have no shame of giving God the glory in everything that I do all of my life. That's first and foremost. I would say the longevity to a good marriage. My wife and I are celebrating 30 years of marriage this year.
Congratulations, man.
Is to recognize and acknowledge and appreciate each other's perfect imperfections.
Ooh.
Right?
Love it. Yeah.
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
She could be the most beautiful woman on the exterior as you've ever seen.
And broken.
But you don't know her heart.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I tell women the same thing. He might be the handsomest guy you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Pearly whites, 6'4", perfect shape, but you don't know his heart.
Right.
So no one's perfect, right? So I tell people, appreciate the perfect imperfections.
Yes.
And embrace it. So we've been married for 30 years. So that's been awesome.
That's beautiful, man. Time to Shine Today podcast Varsity Squad. We are back. And Kevin, like I hop up into DC every once in a while. If you're not being a road warrior, we definitely have to meet up, man.
Yeah.
And maybe some of these questions we might discuss in 15, 20 minutes over a nice Morton steakhouse or something, my treat, which thank you for referring that because I did take the client out when I was there. But the leveling up lightning round, you got 5 seconds with no explanations. They can all be answered that way. You ready to level up?
Let's do it.
Here we go. All right, Kevin. What is the best leveling up advice Kevin's ever received?
Stay focused.
Yes. Share one of your personal habits that contributes to your success.
Discipline.
Love it. You see me walking down the street, and man, Fergie looks like he's in his doldrums a little bit. Other than the good book, the Bible, what book might you hand me to level me up, or one that's really kind of helped you with life?
Understanding Your Potential by the late Dr. Pastor Miles Monroe.
Put that in show notes, Donnie. Thank you. Awesome. What's your most commonly used emoji, if any, when you text?
Oh, smiling face, man.
Love it. Nicknames growing up?
KJ.
AJ or K? Oh, KJ. That would make
KJ.
Sense. Yeah, that would make sense. So give me a hidden talent or superpower that you have that nobody's known about until now.
5 seconds? I had to think about that. That's a tough one there, Scott. Let me come back to that one.
No worries.
I have to think about it.
All right. Chess, checkers, or Monopoly?
Oh, Monopoly, man.
Beautiful. Headline for your life?
Kindness.
Yes. Go-to ice cream flavor?
Oh, butter pecan.
All right, my man.
Yeah.
There's a sandwich called the KJ Leadership Guru. Build that sandwich for me.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Okay, some mayo on white bread, lettuce and tomato, pickle and onion.
Okay.
Let's do some turkey.
All right.
And some roast beef. And let's go ahead and throw a little bit of bologna on there as well. Slice it in half with some chips and a chocolate chip cookie and wash it on down with some sweet tea.
Yes, sir. I love it, man. I love I throw some man candy on there, maybe some bacon, but that's just me.
I got you.
Favorite charity and or organization you like to give your time or money to?
World Vision.
World Vision? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Love it. I'll let you expand on that. Tell us about that.
Well, back in 2010, I was introduced to World Vision and I had an opportunity to sponsor a child for just $35 a month.
Sure.
I sponsor a young lady. Her name is Marie in Rwanda, Africa.
Okay.
She was a little girl at the time. She's now 17, going on 18. And now that we're entering into post-pandemic, I'm going to be reaching out sometime soon. I'm going to Kenya in September. I'm going to be reaching out to see if I can go to neighboring Rwanda to visit Maria. If I can't do it this year, I want to do it next year. But since 2010, $35 a month has gone to her household to help her with her education, all of her personal hygiene as she's grown up. And we've stayed in touch consistently throughout the year. It's a great organization, and I'm so glad I got involved.
That's fantastic, man.
Yeah.
I do something similar with that. But that's great that you're helping. And I actually went to Zambia. It was a mission with the church, but then I ended up, while I was there, I ended up sponsoring somebody since 2007.
Awesome.
And she's grown up, has her a kid now and everything. It's kind of cool. I love it. So last question, you can actually expand on this one a little bit as well, but the best decade of music, 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s?
The reason I would say the 70s is because I have always been a huge Jackson 5 fan.
Really? Okay.
And then I watched Jermaine go solo. I watched Michael go solo.
Yeah.
And later on in life, we actually had a chance to meet Marlon. Marlon is now a reverend.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we've had a chance to meet with him. And
that's so cool.
When I was living in Virginia Beach, Dad was stationed at the Naval Air Station in Norfolk, Virginia.
Norfolk, yeah.
He actually took me to the Hampton Coliseum to see a live concert of the Jackson 5.
That's amazing.
I was a young fella, and I still remember that, man. We just talked about that a few weeks ago.
That's so
really
cool.
Touched my heart. So that's my response to that question.
I'm from Motown, man. I'm from Detroit, so it's that's really big. The older, 70s is. Another thing I like about the 70s is it's a lot of storytelling in their songs, right? Yeah. I mean, the 80s was revolutionary with the incoming of rap and Big Hair, Don't Care, and all that stuff, but the 70s. You just had storytelling.
Hey, Childlike, Elphonics.
Yeah.
Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, Temptations, Gladys Knight and the Pips. I mean, I could go on and on. Even the Osmonds. For a hot minute, I followed the Osmonds.
Did you?
When they first came out. That was 1970s as well. So, yeah, that was my decade for music.
Larry Johnson from the Temptations plays every Thursday at the end of my street. Nice. And I live on the water here. And at the end of the street, there's a little place called Frigates. And he comes in there at 6 o'clock on Thursdays and plays till 8 p.m. And it's awesome. Like, people don't know who he is. And I did. I'm like, wait a minute, you're with him? He's like, yeah, but I don't really say him like, this is legendary. I'll text you a picture of me and him. That's awesome.
All right. Good.
So,
good.
Kevin, how can we find you, my friend?
Well, the Johnson Leadership Group, we make it easy. The website is www.thejohnsonleadershipgroup.com. And then the email is kevin@thejohnsonleadershipgroup.com. Our phone number is there. All of the services that we provide is there. We make it a motto to make sure that we follow up once we're contacted within 48 hours. That's part of good customer service, I believe, and we believe in that. So www.thejohnsonleadershipgroup.com is the easy way to find us. There's a contact page. You can sign up for a newsletter, et cetera.
Love it. And also on Twitter, he has Writing for the Lord, and that's writing numerical for the Lord. He's got Writing for the Lord on Instagram, but that's spelled out FOR, the Lord. And you have Twitter, I already mentioned that. And he's also LinkedIn, and also Kevin Wayne Johnson page on Facebook. And all of that will be in the show notes, squad. And Kevin, are you what let me see, Leading Through Personal Relationships. Why haven't I read this book yet? Is that on Amazon?
Absolutely.
Okay, squad, what we're going to do is I'm going to do a book giveaway for the first person that puts world vision into anything. I don't care if it's Pinterest. I don't care if you text it to 561-440-3830. On Time to Shine Today's Dime, I'm going to purchase. Actually, let's do 3 books. The first 3 people will purchase. I'll get the book Leadership with a Servant Heart, Leading Through Personal Relationships. Kevin, when did you write that book?
Oh, that book is the first in the leadership series.
Okay.
That was published in 2019. The
Beautiful.
follow-up was published in 2022.
Okay.
And
Excellent.
What you'll find when you look at the cover is leadership is bold in caps, but you'll also see there's a reference to a figure there, and there's focus on the heart.
Heart. Love it.
Yeah. So it's like I say, it's a combination where leaders can align what they know with what's in their heart. Now you're on your way to being a great leader.
Excellent. And the best way for, I see your phone numbers on your website and whatnot, best way for companies to find you for speaking and engagements, is that the best phone number to reach out? Okay.
Yep. And right through the website as well.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yep, absolutely.
And Kevin, do me one last solid, please, and leave us with one last knowledge nugget we can take with us, internalize, and take action on.
Well, I believe in 3 things. I think leaders can use their influence to do what I call the APC. It's a model that I've developed. Let's use our influence leaders to get people to attend. Attend is synonymous with showing up with the right attitude. P is once they attend, let's get them to participate. In other words, get actively involved, use their gifts to get involved because they feel like they're included on the team and in the organization. And then the C in the APC model is contribute. Once they attend and once they participate, we want them to use their creativity and their ingenuity and their mind to contribute. That means add value.
Right. I love that.
Let's use our influence to help people to attend with the right attitude, to participate, bring their gifts, and now contribute, add value with their creativity and their ingenuity. And now we are well on our way to having a well-groomed team and a well-managed organization.
That's beautiful, man. Because everything that I'm getting from you is, once you're present and you start learning, then you take action.
Yeah.
And I love it because a lot of people will get in that analysis paralysis and like, oh, well,
exactly.
This, and squad, we just had a 30-minute conversation with my good friend, Kevin Wayne Johnson, and the knowledge nuggets that he dropped will level you up. I know it's already leveled me up. He's the son of a U.S. Marine, so there was no foo-foo, nothing crazy going on in the house. I'm sure it was squared away and put it there. Mom wanted him to be gainfully employed, so he got a lot of love from both of his parents, and he started to learn from a lot of observation and experience. So he would take things again that he would learn and observe, internalize, and then putting it into real world work, which gave him experience. I mean, he's a real Fred McMurray. If I'm a little bit young, but I do remember my dad talking about my three sons, and he's raised three gentlemen that is actually impacting this world in a great way. He's really, really adamant and passionate about pointing into the next generation of leaders. And again, as I was taught, and what I say is the more you mentor, the more immortal you become. The more you can pour it forward, the more you'll be remembered, not from an egotistical way, but be like, hey, man, Fergie or Kevin Wayne taught me that. And this is something I'm passing forward. And that's just fantastic. And a great coach, they show up with intelligence, expertise in intel. And that's what they should show up as. But they need to take what's in mind and match with what's in the heart, and then treat people like people. Really get to know them, dig into their story. And a good conversation to Kevin will help you find your blind spot if you're having one with a coach. And ask your coach, tell me about the journey, that you've been on. They'll help build that bridge of rapport so you can really level up. And also be patient and persistent and don't give up. And if you get stuck, like my good friend Leah Woodford would say, get your asking gear. Ask the people. There are people out there, and Kevin is really planting trees that he's probably never going to sit in the shade up. And that's the kind of person that I really respect. He wants you to know better, meaning always learn, do better, and go out, which is go and act on that and lead better, which you're organically going to turn into a better leader when you do the first two things, because leadership is a trusted responsibility. Kevin is life well lived. Kevin is a man of strong faith, a longevity with a good relationship with your partner, and really get to know and love each other's perfect imperfections, which I just believe that's how I am with my Susan. And that's just fantastic. And lastly, really, he stamped this podcast interview right down to the leadership influences of attend, participate, and contribute. Really take that action, really get there and learn, really participate in taking that action and contribute and pass that forward to people. And that's what my good friend Kevin does. He levels up his health. He levels up his wealth. He's a handsome devil. He earned his varsity squad letter here at Time to Shine today. Thank you so much, Kevin, for coming on. I can't wait to collaborate with you, brother.
All right. Sounds like a plan. Thank you. And all the great work you're doing. Appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Talk soon.
All righty.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to this episode of Time to Shine Today podcast. Proudly brought to you by Sutter & Nugent Real Estate Excellence, who can be reached at 561-249-7266 and online at www.sutterandnugent.com. If you are a business owner or professional who would like to be interviewed on Time to Shine Today, please visit timetoshinetoday.com/guest. If you like this episode, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. There's a link in the show notes to our website. Also there, you will see our recommended resources. We hope that you will support our show by supporting them. If you like what you've been listening to, it'd be great if you could just give us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe while you're at it. I'm your host, Scott Ferguson, and until next time, let's level up. It's our time to shine.